Let me ask you a question. What are your thoughts on video games? Well, Matt Walsh had a very interesting take, and I think that we do too. Stay tuned. I think that I got a different take on video games than Merlin would, and but I think they kind of head to the same point, and that's making sure you don't get off course with God, and that's the ultimate goal. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to get anything and involved in our lives that will stray us away from that. But I believe that everything involved in certain areas can be a gateway to the next thing. And I compare the way that video games operate the same way that the hip hop industry operated to a certain degree. I think that we'll eventually get caught up in the old, well, back in the day, Pac-Man was a good game, and so then, but now it's demonic or evil or whatever you want to call it. But in my mind, I believe that it was evil from the gate, and we just couldn't see it because it was very mild. And so that's why I caution video games of any sort. But I do say caution for a reason. That those are my thoughts, and I dig more into it later.
Yeah. I grew up in the era of video games. I grew up with the Super Marios and the Legend of Zelda and the Sonic the Hedgehog and all those games. And I grew up with a mom who monitored everything. And I mean monitored everything. And she was stoic in her religious belief. It wasn't like she was a modern day Christian. She was the reads and boards kind of kind of religious person. So when she said that one you're not playing it, you didn't get a chance to go find it played somewhere else, because we grew up in an era where everyone knew what you were doing at any point in time. You couldn't run from your parents. Like, you did something out in the road or up the street, you got home, and before you got home, your mama knew. Somebody called somebody to call somebody to tell your mom this is what you was doing in the street. So it wasn't like you could. She knew if you went to the arcade. She knew if you went to the little hole in the wall to play. She knew if you went to your friend's house to play a video game. She knew. I don't know how, but she did. So in my mind, the whole aspect of video games, because I've seen quite a large gamut of it, from number games, solitaire, to role playing where you're participating in something that's nefarious. I get that. And I do make a differentiation. And I see it as though, and you mentioned hip hop or rap, right? Um, we use beats in our intro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those beats versus someone rapping over that beat, is there a difference in your mind between those two?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you have a baseline of the beat and then a second layer of a demonic thing that can be put on top of it.
Right.
There are myriads of games that are just like that beat.
But let me explain to you why I differentiate. What's that word? That the beats. Because I know where my beats come from, and a lot of beats are done with a evil, demonic intent. Yeah, and they have certain rituals and certain things that they do to to make these beats. And I know that mine don't come from that place, because I get them, or I get them custom done by people that I know. So that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? And not, but I understand where you at with it. You know what I'm saying? You saying it's the intent, and everything does come behind the intent. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why I say use the word caution earlier is because I don't believe that all video games are intended to be evil. Like, if you say math and educational things, even some of those are evil and demonic, by the way, too. But I'm not saying that all of them are. But what I am saying is that if you eliminate that side of it, right, which most of the people are not doing those, it's mostly this this violent stuff. I'm pretty sure that stuff sell more. It's crazy. But even the ones that may not be as violent or not violent at all, I think it's a gateway to the more violent ones. You know what I'm saying? And when you speak about, when you said your mom monitored everything, and that's good, but that's also dangerous when you widen that up to just everybody, because as we know, everybody don't know or might not know what they're looking at. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of times they put this stuff right in our face and we don't even know what we're looking at. So when we open that door to just everybody to do that, I think it's open the door for a lot of bad things to happen. So I just kind of, I guess, even if it's not that way, I see it as a gateway to it, and I think that we should caution. Not, and so when I say caution, that don't mean you have to necessarily stop every game that you playing, but caution is the key word, I think, here.
This is not a conspiracy channel we're talking about here. He's taking over the internet. It's more like a truth-speaking, exposing evil type of deal with no limits. No one's off the table here. Pastors,
P. Diddy,
musicians,
rumored
actors,
sex
I mean,
parties.
you name it, and he's
And he
bringing
liked
the
me.
receipts.
He liked me. He was like, look.
Jay-Z and Beyonce exposed. Watch this video, Blame Drake. This channel is on a mission. Wake up before you go to sleep.
I think what you said before, there's one part I think that is the linchpin to all of this, and that's discernment. Because there should be a order, right, of priorities. If my priority is my relationship with God, one, He won't let certain things get in the way because I won't let anything get in the way as well. If I'm in tune with what He wants, there are certain things I won't play games with. Pun intended. There are some things I won't deal with, and some things I will make sure to stay away from, because what's in me is going to keep me from certain things. So I think blanketing a now this is part of it too. Like I said, because we grew up differently, we have a different field of information that we're working from. While I fully agree that there is a bunch of things that they slip in under the radar, that is where discernment will open up that channel to you, so you can know where they slip it in and avoid it at all costs. And of course, you can say that you can easily avoid it all by not touching any of it. And that's an option for you, obviously. But I also believe that there is a bunch of freedoms that are afforded to you, and the Holy Spirit can let that be known to you. There are some people that will never touch a drop of alcohol, no wine, nothing. And then there are some people that will drink wine. And of course, wine is a gateway to getting drunk, but a sip of wine, when you have discernment, is not going to get you drunk. So there is a massive disconnect in putting a massive law over everyone. It even says so in the book that people say they read. It's in there. Go read it. Not everything is a sin unto death. And so I see things as is the word optional?
Yeah.
They're there as something that you can do or not do, and that is open to you via discernment. When you try to tell someone, though, however, that it is, and I know you didn't say this, you better not. That's one thing. But there are some things that are definitely like that He has said, you better not. Homosexuality being one of them. You better not, because this is the death portion of it. There's, like I said, sin unto death and sin not unto death.
And murder.
And murder. Right. And abortion. So there are a myriad of things. And this is why I think today, in today's climate, having that discernment is the first line of defense in knowing. Ironically, with Matt, I find it odd that he can be that cut and dry with video games, but he can't be that cut and dry with marriage. Like, he can't tell someone that's putting them on the spot about God instituting marriage, but you want to go to playing the game of back and forth with Joe Rogan. I don't understand your mindset on that one particularly, because I figure if you're hard set on one thing because it's straight right and wrong, and you know what's right and wrong because of, God, why is something even more pivotal like marriage that's really being attacked that you couldn't be that firm on? I don't get that, but there are tons of things I don't get about your logic either. So
Yeah, I understand that, and you're 100% correct about that. But this is, I see it like this, even on the outside of life with God, right? I think it's just, I think he's looking at it from a logical standpoint, versus spiritual, which I guess kind of coincide a bit anyway. But the thing is, like, I just don't think it's wise. I don't think it's wise to flirt with it. That's my overall thought about it. I don't think it's wise to even flirt with it. It's like, okay, with me right now, I am loyal to my wife, right? I'm not interested in no other women. So why would I indulge in a room that I know that there's going to be women trying to promote that to me? That's the way I see that, because at any given time, you might mess around and slip up if you put yourself in that predicament. You know what I'm saying? And especially for people that don't have any spiritual guidance, or have no spirit of God to follow, they won't receive that. So, they're going any direction. And so when you look at it on a wider scale, it's just like video games do more harm than they do good. And with me personally, I'm just talking about me, I don't see a reason to be interested in it at all, knowing and especially knowing the risk that it could bring into my house. So I just don't indulge in them. Now I do let my kids play some of those, like you said, the educational games, the math, science, and all that different stuff, and we even monitor that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the discernment to let us know, what's there and what's not. You know what I'm saying? But everybody don't have that, and that's the thing. And when I think that, when we look at it from that angle, we can understand that it's probably not really a good thing. Not only the fact that it's so addictive. Um, I mean, not only that does it don't not only promote violence, it's addictive, and it's addictive to the point to where people are just losing their lives, man. You know what I'm saying? Just sitting up playing the games, peeing on themselves, doing all kind of crazy stuff. Me personally, I think I understand what the intent is, and I just choose not to indulge in it, and I don't see a reason to. I mean, I don't know. It's just me. Everybody different. You know what I'm saying? I don't see a reason to mess with that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I pass the time with games all the time. That's my weekends when I chill. I have maybe 3 that I play, and none of them include other people. They're just me. I don't want nobody else around. I don't play with people. I don't do the online thing. This is me. I play at my own pace, do what I want to do. I ain't got the time for people, right? And that's just
But
me.
but but what do you think about violent video games though?
Oh, I played a ton of them. I mean, tons of them. And the the resulting effect wasn't me being violent. Um, I can tell you that if it came down to deciding whether or not violence was a part of me because of video games or violence was a part of me because of bullying, I would probably tell you that bullying had a harder effect on me for being violent than video games ever did. Because I never had any of the thought process from a video game in my anger. Like none of the stuff I played ever came to fruition in my mind. Like I didn't have that cross referencing ever happen.
Yeah, but okay, so I can say the same thing about rap, right? When they was really starting to promote smoking weed and all this different fancy weed and all this different stuff. Now I've never been a weed smoker. I've never smoked weed, right? And it never influenced me to that point, but that's me. But I know several people that it have, you know what I'm saying? And that is like, it's a hit and miss thing, but it's doing more damage. It's affecting more people than it's not. And that's where I really caution it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just not a fan of it, man. I got to agree mostly with what he said about the video games, but not 100%. You know what I'm saying? And I think he got enough sense to understand that he just probably been a bit sarcastic
Ob-
or
Obtuse.
yeah, something. You know what I'm saying? But no, I don't think that every single game is a bad game, but I don't recommend it. I don't even flirt around with it. No, no, I wouldn't. Not me. Yeah.
You wouldn't take the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you call discernment. See, you know the gateway it could be, and others may not, and I get that. Um, and that's why I say at the beginning was the offset. The very first thing we should be trying to teach people is that discernment. Gain that discernment, because if you don't, it's just like going through life. Going through life without proper ability to discern between right and wrong will lead you to doing everything and not having a compass. That's why we teach our kids from young the compass of right and wrong, so that when they get older, they know right and wrong, and we've instilled in them a sense of discernment, and then God enhances that to his level. So I think it comes back to more so the implementing of parental values if the parent has them, which it behooves a parent to get that so they can put it to their children. Majority of parents today, though, don't know God, and so it passes on to their kids, and the kids will end up doing it. It perpetuates a cycle. And you can't force anybody to gain discernment. You can't force them to find God. And unfortunately, there'll be some generations that will be lost, and they'll be lost. And there's nothing you can really do about that until either God gets through to them or they allow God to get through to them. My take on it is that you need to find your discernment first. Get to know either a connection with God, get to know Him, and then from there, let the rest of your judgments come. But if you don't have that, I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, and different people got different levels of discernment, and mine start at the sidewalk. I'm not going in that club because, look, a lot of people can say, well, I can go to the strip club and it won't tempt me, it don't make me want to fornicate and like that. But in my mind, I just say, well, why even go in there? You know what I'm saying? But that's the way I think, and I can't, knock nobody else for the way they think. And everybody's spiritual walk is different, and I'm more concerned about mine. And I'm cool on the games, but hey, if that's what everybody else do, that's good. But But again, I'm not interested in it. So maybe I'm speaking from a different standpoint. But whatever you do, you know what I'm saying, do it carefully and discern and follow God. Okay, that's it. And always go back to why. Wake up before you go to sleep. Peace. We out of here.